Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will discuss about inferential statistics. Inferential statistics are certain types of procedures that allow researchers to make inferences about a population based on findings from a sample. When a sample is representative, all the characteristics of the population are assumed to be present in the sample in the same degree. No sampling procedures, not even random sampling, guarantees a totally representative sample, but the chance of obtaining one is greater with random sampling than with any other method. And the more a sample represents a population, the more researchers are entitled to assume that what they find about the sample will also be true of that population. Making inferences about populations on the basis of random samples is what inferential statistics is all about. The logic of inferential statistics. Suppose a researcher is interested in the difference between males and females with respect to his interest in history. He hypothesizes that female students find history more interesting than do male students. To test the hypothesis, he decides to perform the following study. He obtained one random sample of 30 male history students from the population of 500 male 10th grade students taking history in a nearby school districts, and another random sample of 30 female history students from the female population of 550 female 10th grade history students in the district. All students are given an attitude scale to complete. The researcher now has two sets of data, the attitude scores for the male group and the attitude scores for the female group. The researcher wants to know whether the male population is different from the female population, that is, will the mean score of the male group on the attitude test differ from the mean scores of the female group, but the researcher does not know the mean of the two populations. All he has are the means of the two samples. He has to rely on the two samples to provide information about the population. Following diagram shows the pattern of study. Hypothesis testing. A hypothesis testing is a statistical method that uses data to evaluate a hypothesis about a population. In very simple terms, the logic underlying the hypothesis testing procedure is as follows. First, we state a hypothesis about a population. Usually, the hypothesis concerns the value of population parameter. For example, we might hypothesize that the American adults gain an average of mu is equal to 7 pounds between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day each year. Before we select a sample, we use the hypothesis to predict the characteristics that sample should have. For example, if we predict that the average weight gain for the population is mu is equal to 7 pounds, then we would predict that our sample should have a means around 7 pounds. Remember, the sample should be similar to the population, but you always expect a certain amount of error. Next, we obtain a random samples from the population. For example, we might select a sample of n is equal to 200 American adults and measure the average weight change for the sample between Thanksgiving and the New Year's Day. Finally, we compare the obtained sample data with the prediction that was made from the hypothesis. If the sample mean is consistent with the prediction, then we conclude that the hypothesis is reasonable. But if there is a big discrepancy between the data and the prediction, then we decide that the hypothesis is wrong. The fourth step of a hypothesis test. Step 1 is state the hypothesis. The process of hypothesis testing begins by stating hypothesis about the unknown population. Actually, we state two opposing hypotheses. Notice that both hypotheses are stated in terms of population parameters. The first and the most important of the two hypotheses is called the null hypothesis. The null hypothesis states that the treatment has no effect. In general, the null hypothesis states that there is no change, no effect, no difference, nothing happened. Hence the name null. The null hypothesis is identified by the symbol H0. The second hypothesis is simply the opposite of the null hypothesis and it is called the scientific or alternative hypothesis. This hypothesis states the treatment has an effect on the dependent variable. Step 2. Set the criteria for a decision. Eventually, the researcher uses the data from the sample to evaluate the credibility of the null hypothesis. The data either provides support for the null hypothesis or tend to refute the null hypothesis. In particular, if there is a big discrepancy between the data and the null hypothesis, then we conclude that the null hypothesis is wrong. Selecting alpha level. The alpha level to find boundaries that separate the high probability samples from the low probability samples. We must define exactly what is meant by low probability and high probability. This is accomplished by selecting a specific probability value, which is known as the level of significance or the alpha level for the hypothesis test. The alpha value is small probability that is used to identify the low probability samples. By convention, commonly used alpha levels are alpha is equal to 0.05, alpha is equal to 0.01, and alpha is equal to 0.001. For example, with 0.05, we separate the most unlikely 5% of the sample mean, the extreme values, from the most likely 95% of the sample means, the central values. The extremely unlikely values as defined by the alpha make up what is called the critical region. These extreme values is in the tail of the distribution define outcome that are not consistent with the null hypothesis. That is, they are very unlikely to occur if the null hypothesis is true. Whenever the data from a research study produce a sample mean that is located in the critical region, we conclude that the data are not consistent with the null hypothesis and we reject the null hypothesis. The following diagram shows the critical region where we reject the null hypothesis and the central region where we accept the null hypothesis. The boundaries for the critical region. To determine the exact locations for the boundaries that define the critical region, we use the alpha probability and the unit normal table. In most cases, the distribution of the sample mean is normal and the unit normal table provides the precise z-score location for the critical region boundaries. With alpha is equal to 0.05, for example, the boundary separates the extreme 5% from the middle 95%. Because the extreme 5% is split between two tails of the distribution, there exactly 2.5% or 0.0250 in each tail. In the unit normal table, you can look up a proportion of 0.0250 in column C, the tail, and find that the z-score boundary is z is equal to 1.96. Thus, for any normal distribution, the extreme 5% is in the tail of the distribution beyond z is equal to plus 1.96 and z is equal to minus 1.96. These values define the boundaries of the critical region for a hypothesis test using alpha is equal to 0.05. Collect data and compute sample statistics. Test of significance is used to determine the likelihood of real or chance differences. In the language of statistics, the term significance does not mean importance. Rather, it refers to a statistical level of probability at which we can confidently reject the null hypothesis. Remember, inferential statistics tell us the likelihood that the results from our samples are just due to chance. There are two types of parametric tests. There are two types of test of significance, parametric test and non-parametric test. Parametric tests are used when your distribution is normal, data is of interval and ratio scales, and randomly selected. Non-parametric tests are used when your data distribution is not normal and not randomly selected and data is not of interval or ratio scales. Example of parametric tests are t-test, ANOVA, regression, and example of non-parametric test is chi-square. Step 4 is make a decision. In the final step, the researcher uses the z-score values obtained in step 3 to make a decision about the null hypothesis according to the criteria established in the step 2. The research question is whether attractiveness affects the behavior of infants. Looking a photograph of woman's face, The researcher is expecting the infants to prefer the more attractive phase. Therefore, the researcher predicts that the infant will spend more than half of the 20-second period looking at the attractive phase. For example, the researcher tested a sample of n is equal to 9 infants and obtained a mean of m is equal to 13 seconds looking at the attractive phase with SS is equal to 72. Stating the hypothesis. The null hypothesis states that the infants will not spend more than half of the 20 seconds looking at the attractive phase in symbol H0 mu attractive smaller than or equal to 10 seconds, not more than half of the 20 seconds looking at the attractive phase. Similarly, the alternative states that the treatment will work. In this case, H1 states that the infant will spend more than half of the time looking at the attractive phase. Symbolically, H1 mu unattractive less than 10 seconds, more than half of the 20 seconds looking at the attractive phase. In this example, the researcher is predicting that the sample mean m will greater than 10 seconds. Thus, if the infant average more than 10 seconds looking at the attractive phase, the data will provide support for the researcher's prediction and will tend to refute the null hypothesis. Also note that a sample mean greater than 10 will produce a positive value for the t-statistics. Thus, the critical region for the one-tailed test will consist of positive t-values located in the right-hand tails of the distribution. To find the critical value, you must look in the distribution table using the one-tailed proportion. With a sample of n is equal to 9, the t-statistic has df is equal to 8 using alpha is equal to 0.01. You should find a critical value of t is equal to 2.896. Therefore, if we obtain t-statistics greater than 2.896, we will reject the null hypothesis and conclude that the infant shows a significant preference for the attractive phase. Here is the factorial view of the critical region and t-distribution for the previously mentioned example. If the mean is 0, table value of t is equal to 2 plus 2.896 and degree of freedom is 8. Calculate the test statistics. The computation of the t-statistics is the same for either a one-tailed or a two-tailed test. The t-statistics typically require much more computation than is necessary for a z-score. Therefore, we recommend that you divide the calculation into a 3-stages process as follows. First, calculate the sample variance. Remember that the population variance is unknown and you must use the sample value in its place. This is why we are using a t-statistics instead of a z-score. S square is equal to SS divided by n minus 1 is equal to SS divided by degree of freedom is equal to 72 by 8 is equal to 9. Next, use the sample variance and the sample size to compute the estimated standard error. This value is the denominator of the t-statistics and measure how much difference is responsible to expect by chance between a sample mean and the corresponding population mean. Standard error of measurement is equal to s squared divided by n under root is equal to 9 by 9 under root 1. Finally, compute the t-statistics for the sample data. T is equal to m minus mu divided by Sm. After calculating the t value, we get 3. Make a decision. The test statistics is in the critical region, so we reject H0. In terms of the experimental variable, we have decided that the infants show a preference and spend significantly more time looking at the attractive phase than they do looking at the unattractive phase. In a research report, the results would be presented as follows. The time spent looking at the attractive phase was significantly greater than would be expected if there are no preferences. T is equal to 3.00. Probability is less than 0.01 one-tailed. type 1 and type 2 errors. Based on a test of significance, as we have discussed, the researcher will either reject or not reject the null hypothesis. In other words, the researcher will make the decision that the difference between the mean is or is not likely due to chance. Because we are dealing with probability, not certainty, we never know for sure whether we are absolutely correct. Sometimes we will make mistakes. We will decide that a difference is a real difference when it's really due to chance, or we will decide that a difference is due to chance when it is not. These mistakes are known as type 1 and type 2 error. To understand these errors, consider examples of the two methods of reading at Pinecrest Elementary School. Our decision-making process can lead to four possible outcomes. The null hypothesis can in reality be true for the population, no difference between the two methods. If we decide that any difference we find is just due to chance, we fail to reject the null hypothesis and we have made a correct decision. Null hypothesis is true. Researcher failed to reject it and concludes no significant difference between groups. That is the correct decision. The null hypothesis in reality is false. New method is not equal to old method. If we decide that we are reasonably confident that our results are not simply due to the chance, we reject the null hypothesis. We made a correct decision. Null hypothesis is false. Researcher rejects it and concludes that the groups are significantly different. In the third case, the null hypothesis is true. New method is equal to old method, but we reject it, believing that the results are not simply due to chance and that the methods are different. In this case, we have made an incorrect decision. We have mistakenly assumed there is a difference in the reading programs when there is none. It means we have decided incorrectly. Null hypothesis is true, but researcher rejects it and concludes that the groups are significantly different. Number 4, the null hypothesis is false. New is not equal to old, but we fail to reject it, believing that the groups are really the same. We are incorrect because we concluded that there is no difference when indeed there is a difference. We again made an incorrect decision. Null hypothesis is false, but researchers failed to reject it and conclude that the groups are not significantly different. A relationship between alpha and type 1 error. The probability level selected by the researcher determines the probability of committing a type 1 error, that is of rejecting a null hypothesis that is really true. Thus, if you select a alpha is equal to 0.05 and you have 5% probability of making a type 1 error, whereas if you select alpha is equal to 0.01, you have only a 1% probability of committing a type 1 error. For example, at Pinecrest Elementary, we found a difference between the means of the old reading program and the new reading program. Suppose our inferential statistics show that the difference is significant at our pre-selected level of alpha is equal to 0.05, and we reject the null hypothesis of no difference. In a sense, we are saying that we are confident that the difference resulted from the independent variable, the new methods of reading, not random error, because the chances are only 5 out of 100 that a difference in the mean of the reading scores as large as the one we have found would occur slowly by chance. Because the chance of a probability level alpha is made before execution of the study, researchers need to consider the relative seriousness of committing a type 1 versus type 2 error and select accordingly. We must compare the consequences of making each wrong decision. Some common statistical tests used in inferential statistics: parametric t-test about a single mean h naught mu is equal to alpha, difference between two means h naught mu is equal to mu 2, or h mu minus mu 2 is equal to 0, useful for both independent and dependent samples, but formulas are different. Analysis of variance: two or more population means are equal. H mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to so on from the level of a single independent variable. Analysis of variance two-way: two or more population means are equal, two independent variables included, and there is a hypothesis for each and their interaction. Analysis of covariance. Two or more population means are equal after being adjusted for the effect of the covariate. Non-parametric statistics. Chi-square test. Goodness of fit. A population distribution as hypothesized shape. Correlation tests. Pearson R and Spearman Rowe.